Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at the SooSoo Toys The Boss Man 2.0, aka Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk based off his appearance in the Hawkeye show on Disney+. Now I got mine direct from SooSoo Toys. This is actually a review sample, so I do have to say thank you to them for making this review possible. That doesn't mean I'm only going to say nice things. Even though this is a sample, all opinions, as always, are 100% my own. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new third-party review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, SooSoo continue to kill it with their artwork. They've kept it simple and classy, but I respect that. Front and center, Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin in his stunning Hawaiian shirt. Clearly, that's the peak of fashion right there. The Boss Man 2.0 down below, the SooSoo Toys logo top right corner, as well as a SooSoo Toys exclusive sticker top left. For those of you who don't know, this guy is actually a limited release. On the side of the box, we have the rest of the background from the front spilling over the edge. It's a little bit blurry, but I'm pretty sure that's the alleyway where Kingpin confronts Echo in the Disney Plus series Hawkeye. Around the back, warnings and legal information, and a SooSoo Toys logo. If you're wondering, hang on a second, what about the 1.0 version of the Boss Man? Was it also Kingpin? Yeah, it was. Instead of being based off his first MCU appearance like this guy, it was based off his look in Season 3 of Daredevil, the Netflix series. So if you prefer Kingpin from that show versus Hawkeye, well, that's the one for you. The slipcover artwork is so very pretty. We've got a SooSoo Toys logo, this super vibrant red background, his Hawaiian shirt on full display. And this blood trail from his cane, that's a very nice touch. His figure is huge. He takes up the entire clam tray. His feet and his head, they're right at the top and bottom of the box. SooSoo Toys making him as big as you did, you all clearly understood the assignment. First in-hand impressions, yeah, he's pretty substantial, quite heavy. What we are going to do now, though, is get all of his accessories. His long coat is tucked up underneath the clam tray if you're looking for it, laid out in the light box, and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. It's done in the typical SooSoo Toy style, meaning it's hexagonal. We also have the Daredevil logo in the middle. That's okay. I would have preferred something a little bit more Kingpin-esque, personally. We also have the metal grate flooring sculpted into the quadrants. Then the base itself is a little bit chonky, and that does give him an added height boost in the display. The color scheme being white and red calls back to his outfit. And adding the Hawaiian shirt print into these little sections, that was a nice touch. The crotch grabber, this I think could have been white to match the display base, rather than going with black. Not a deal breaker, just something I think they could have adjusted. Speaking of adjusting things, you can move the crotch grabber itself up and down. He comes with the exact same cane as we got with Kingpin the first time round. The bottom has this little stopper that makes it a little bit easier to have him hold onto the top of it. If it was rounded, it would be sliding around everywhere, so I like that. You also have some pops of gold, and up top, you do have a translucent gemstone. The main body of the cane is done in black. Now, it is made of plastic, so when you're wedging this in his hand, just be careful. He does come with this interchangeable outfit option, this long white jacket, and the reason why it's not sitting here with the rest of the accessories is because it's super stark white. Now, normally I'd struggle with shooting a white figure on a white background. This time, I reckon I got this. To go along with the jacket, you also get his hat. There's a lot of texture sculpted into the surface. This would normally be a ribbon. It's also sculpted, painted in this dark crimson red, slightly darker than the red on the display base. You also have stitching around the brim. And on the underside, there isn't any foam padding, but the hat is soft enough that I don't think it should do any damage to the head sculpt. We'll discuss that again a little bit later. And lastly, a full array of hands. You've got these splayed out open palm hands. You've also got these kind of trigger finger but also cufflink adjusting hands, as well as some closed fists and some open palm hands already installed on Kingpin. My favorite detail about the hands is that they're very recessed, so when you slide these onto the wrist pegs, they stick all the way in there, so they're not as visible as they'd normally be with 1/6 scale hands. There's a lot of detail on the surface, there's vein work, skin texture, wrinkling. I've got no complaints with how the hands look. What we are going to do now, though, is get Kingpin himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Except for the hat and the long jacket. I couldn't wait any longer. I wanted to see the completed look, and it doesn't disappoint. This guy looks spot on to his first MCU appearance in Hawkeye. Also, look how our boy has grown. He is bigger than ever. This guy is an absolute tank. Exactly as he should be. It's Kingpin after all. Now, SooSoo Toys, I think you're onto a winner with your Kingpin figures. The first one was good. This one is even better. The proportions are spot on, how broad he is at the shoulders, thanks in part to the padding in both jackets. We'll discuss that in just a second. The head sculpt looks like Vincent D'Onofrio even from a distance with the hat on, which I can't imagine was easy to achieve. And the outfit being as stark white as it is with the pops of red. Oh, this guy's going to stand out in the collection. Not that he really needed any help doing that in the first place, because, like I said, he's a very big figure. Close and personal, kicking things off with Kingpin's head sculpt. I do currently have him with the hat on. We'll take it off in just a second. Usually with 1/6 scale hats, they sit very high, they're quite thick and chonky, and in figure photography, they're a dead giveaway that this is not a real person. SooSoo Toys, though, with this hat, they made it very thin and very form-fitting. Doesn't flare out too much, doesn't look too big. I reckon it fits in proportion, and it sits at the right height, just above his brow. I'm a little bit worried, though, because this is sculpted plastic, and you do have to wedge it onto the head sculpt. There's a little bit of friction involved. So maybe heat it up first, and that way you're not doing any damage to the head sculpt. Because you wouldn't want to either. This head sculpt, I think, is really good. That angle right there, with the furrowed brow making him look mean and pissed off. Yeah, that's my Kingpin. That is 100% Vincent D'Onofrio. From certain angles, you do start to lose it a little, but all the way around, I love this head sculpt. Now, it is the same head sculpt as the 1.0, but that one was so good that that's perfectly fine with me. There's also this sort of wrinkling and creasing around the back of his head where he's shaved his hair off. That's very accurate to a real-life bald head. When you shave your hair, your head's not going to be super smooth. There will be wrinkles and dimples and little undulations like right here where it's not completely rounded. Overall, like I said, I'm very happy with this sculpt. Getting this outer jacket on wasn't the easiest thing in the world. It wasn't the most challenging either. Just bring the arms back, pull it over the top of the shoulders, while at the same time, push up on the padding on the suit jacket and tuck it into the shoulder pads for the outer jacket. Hopefully that helps. For me, I didn't have a massive issue getting this on. Now that it is on, it bulks him out even more so, especially at the shoulders. Look how broad this dude is. There are wires down the lapels, around the back for the collar, down the front of the long coat, and also at the bottom. So if you want to have this thing billowing off in the wind, you totally can. Got some faux buttons down the front, faux pockets, these straps with some more faux buttons just around the back there. It's lined on the inside, and it's a different shade of white compared to the suit underneath. They've also gone with this almost suede microfiber texture, whereas the suit jacket is just regular suit jacket material. If you're wondering what he looks like without the long jacket on, even though technically you've already seen that, without that jacket on, he loses quite a lot of bulk. Not to say that he looks small, he absolutely doesn't. This guy is still massive. He's still got some padding at the shoulders, a lot of padding around the front, you can feel it in the torso, and the body underneath is just super tall. You'll see what I mean when we get to comparisons. He does have his metal chain on, and out of the box, the chain was on the outside of the Hawaiian shirt, but in the show it's on the inside, so I just tucked it in there. The red shirt has some very sharp printing on it, and it's a red Hawaiian shirt, so it's visually striking. He's going to stand out in the collection. The white suit jacket, tailoring is crisp, and you've got some real working buttons. So somehow, maybe you'd have to remove that padding. If you wanted to do this jacket up, those buttons are working, so yeah, totally go for it. I also like the fact that his Hawaiian shirt sleeves are long enough that if you want to pull them down to cover up the wrist pegs, they do work for that. His pants are pretty basic. We don't have to spend a ton of time here. They're just white pants. They've got some real pockets. There are some creases down the front. The weave of the material matches the suit jacket. And they're thin enough that they drape well on the body. He does have a significant amount of padding for his thighs, but it does end at the tops of his knees, so it shouldn't impact articulation. He's got some real white socks on underneath the pants. The shoes are interesting. They look like loafers of some kind. They've got a little bit of texture sculpted in for the stitching, and on the underside, some fully sculpted tread. A little handy tip if you find his ankles are a bit loose and he can't stand on his own, pull down the socks over the top of the ball joint, then you can reattach his shoes. When you do that, it pretty much just thickens up that ball joint, leaving a lot less room in the hole that it pegs into. So now, his ankles are a hell of a lot tighter than they were before. For a quick side-by-side comparison, Bossman 2.0 on the left and Bossman 1.0 on the right. MCU's Kingpin, Netflix Kingpin. The MCU version is a little bit taller somehow. I could have sworn they were going to be the same height. They're on the same body, the shoes are even the same, just the 2.0 is a matte versus the glossy finish in the 1.0. The hands are the same, and even the cane is the same. Still, the new one is taller, and that's fine by me. In Hawkeye, he did look like he had a size upgrade. Dude was absolutely enormous. Not quite the right version of Daredevil, granted. This is the Netflix version. It's Charlie Cox in the role, though, so compared to Kingpin, there is a significant size difference. The 1.0 already towered over Daredevil. This one, even more so. So if you wanted to have a massive, hulking Kingpin to pose up alongside Daredevil, or Kate Bishop, or Hawkeye, or Spidey in the display, this one definitely fits the bill. See what I mean? He towers over upgraded suit Spidey from Far From Home. Growing up in the 90s, Kingpin in Spider-Man the Animated Series, he was one of the big bads. So not having this version of Spidey face off against Kingpin, now that we have both of these characters established in live action in the same universe, that would be a big missed opportunity. At this point, I don't think we're going to get a Hawkeye from the Hawkeye series. Stupid, I know, seeing as the show is literally called Hawkeye. We're getting Kate Bishop, who is also known as Hawkeye, not Clint Barton, it would seem. Right now, the best, most comic book accurate version of Clint is the Civil War version. He, too, is shorter than Kingpin. What if you didn't want to use him as your live-action Kingpin? Posed up alongside classic suit Spidey? Don't mind if I do. Also, my classic suit Spidey does currently have a comic book style head sculpt on him, so it's not the stock head sculpt. He is shorter than Kingpin, just like everyone else, and the color scheme of Kingpin's Hawaiian shirt, that vibrant red, it plays beautifully off classic suit Spidey's red and blue. Going over articulation, starting off with Willie's head sculpt, it's on a fixed neck that's part of the body and a double ball peg. Looking up to there, looking down to there, swivel and pivot side to side. His arms will go up to there. They'll also go forward and back. You do get a butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, single bend at the elbow getting you to 90, and then for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. The torso, as you can imagine, is quite padded, which means going forward you don't get a ton of range, you get a little bit. You also get swivel and pivot side to side. His legs will go forward to there. The joints are pretty stiff on mine, which is a good thing considering the size and weight of this figure. Going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Double bend at the knee going past 90. Then for the ankles, because he is so large, they didn't go with a double ball peg. They went with a hinge and swivel with a ball peg at the end. Which means you can get forward and back and swivel, but if you want ankle tilt, you only get a little how it's set up right now. If you want more, you can rotate the joint inside the ankle, then it can go further. Wrapping up on SooSoo Toys The Bossman 2.0. aka Kingpin 2.0, Vincent D'Onofrio reprising his role as Wilson Fisk, this time not in the Netflix universe, in the MCU, in the Hawkeye series on Disney+. I remember the hype leading up to those final episodes of Hawkeye. I was really excited myself. I couldn't wait to see Vincent D'Onofrio back in the role. And when we saw him in the MCU, he'd received a bit of a power upgrade, a power boost, if you will. He was bigger than ever, he was stronger than ever, and I was hoping that SooSoo Toys would make his first MCU look into a 1/6 scale figure. And they didn't disappoint. This guy is very close to Hot Toys quality. I know we throw those words around a lot, I mean it. This guy is so good. He's big, he's bulky, he's sturdy, the proportions, they're spot on. Look how broad the shoulders are. This guy is a beast of a figure. The head sculpt looks like Vincent D'Onofrio from every angle. He looks pissed off, and you can tell that this is not someone you want to mess with. He will kick your ass. Then the outfit being stark white with that red Hawaiian shirt. Pops of color and also the brightness of that white, never a bad thing. This guy is 100% going to be a shelf stealer. Not just because of the outfit, but because of the size and how realistic he looks. There are no seams. From the front, you can't see any wrist pegs, you can't see the neck connector. He's completely seamless from head to toe. If you're like me, a Kingpin fan, and you've been waiting for the MCU version to add to your collection, well, this guy is kinda it, and I don't see any other third-party companies throwing their hat in the ring. SooSoo Toys, they have cornered the market on 1/6 scale Kingpins, it would seem. I'm not mad at that, because both times they have delivered. I do want to stress that this is not a promotional video, which is kind of weird because I just sung this guy's praises. He's genuinely good. I don't care if you buy him or not, I'm just really glad that I have him in my collection. I do want to say thank you to SooSoo Toys for providing me with this review sample so I could actually make this video. It is an unlicensed, unofficial figure. This is not a promotional video, this is a review on a figure that's going in my collection after this video is done. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.